Even now, after I retired, I knew that there was still more work to be done, but I'm doing it at a different level now.
Because it's so true what you're saying, because you put something in your mind, you put it in your mind, then guess what, boom, I have something I'm putting in my mind and I'm on that frequency, and then boom, we now meet, we do this, because now you're on that frequency of want to do it at a different level, right? This is social media. People trust people more than they trust brands, so they want to hear from people.
Absolutely.
Okay, welcome to the Rabasha Family Podcast. I have a very special guest here. We had amazing conversations earlier. A mother, Muriel Jones Banks, a passionate advocate and seasoned speaker. Someone who brings personal experience and wisdom to every presentation she does, everywhere she goes. She's a light. She had things within her heart and experiences that she was going through, with her family, that gave her the courage to say, you know what, there's so many other people who are like me, and there's so many other people, if I was just to speak about my experiences, they could learn from and get inspiration from. So as retiring in October 2024 as executive director of a family nonprofit in Maitland, where she served over a decade, she founded Courage to Be LLC to increase the mission of advocacy and support for families and communities. And this is quite powerful because at the end of the day, people running companies, CEOs, all of these things, but we still have families. We're still going through things with our children. Some people are going, their children are going through stress, right? How much does that impact you as a CEO when you're working and all these things? So I think you give a new and interesting perspective. So thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, Sajira, for having me. I'm just so excited to be part of this platform, and you're doing an amazing work.
Marketing is all about storytelling. Dad, when we first started this business, what did you say to me?
I said, yes, we do a podcast.
Why?
Because I want to tell our story.
Why?
Because I know the story builds a legacy.
Builds a legacy. And that is exactly what we do here at ETS Rabasha Media. We market your story on social media so you could build a legacy for those who come after you, to build your business and your personal brand.
Yeah, follow us on our platform. Go on our website, etsrabashamedia.com.
This is about legacy, and it is about showing up on social media every single day, because if you don't show up, your competition will. Thank you so much. So can you tell us and take us back, like, who are you, where do you come from, how were you raised? Yeah, take us back.
Oh, okay. I am a Jersey girl. Born in New Jersey, a family parent, mother, father, and I have 3 siblings. I'm the oldest. I have a sister and 2 brothers. And we were born and raised in Newark, New Jersey, Brick City. Anyone out there from Brick City? And after the riots, we moved to the Oranges, and that's where we went to school. Graduated from Clifford J. Scott. I'm a Scottie in 1975. I attended college for 2 years or so, and I dropped out because I was so focused on my profession and making money. But little did I know down the line after, being married, that I would get involved or become an advocate for mental wellness. And it's until you have that lived experience, I'm telling you, a college cannot teach you this. This is not textbook. You live in silos. And unfortunately, my son has a mental health disorder. He is now 35 years old. But growing up, there was just so much going on. He was diagnosed on the spectrum, autism, at age 4. He had lost his speech. I advocated for him to go into a special school because I said, he can talk. I know he can talk. He can speak. So I had him in the right program that helped him regain his speech. And while doing that, we also learned a little sign language as well to communicate. But as time went on, during his puberty years, I would say, the signs and symptoms were very different from autism. He was having auditory hallucinations. That is, he's hearing voices. There were behaviors. He did not, which I think this part is part of autism, he does not mesh well with individuals, with people. People are a trigger for him. if there's too much noise, things of that nature. So as I went on this journey, I really was isolating myself from not only the community, but my family. Because when you're in that situation, sometimes you're embarrassed. You start second guessing yourself as a parent. What did I do wrong? That type of thing. And the behaviors got worse until I was in danger. My son is violent. I wanted to protect the community, so I had to make some very hard, actionable steps with all the love that I have for him, and make that hard decision to have him in a placement that could address and give him the appropriate support and services that he needs. Because love is not enough. As a mom, you think all that love could, and I'm not going to say fix, but maybe change the behaviors. When it's mental wellness, and I won't say illness, but when your mental wellness is challenged and you cannot control your behaviors or what you're thinking, then it's time to really make those hard decisions and getting the help that your loved one will need. And I knew I was not the only person going through this. So with all that and balancing a profession as well, it was difficult. But thanks be to God, I got through it.
So, like, let me ask you, how old was he when you first, something seemed a bit strange to you?
13.
So all
13.
13 years of his life, things were, just
Oh, it was a roller coaster ride. And when we had a good day, I embraced those good days. It was like a big deal for me when there was no outbursts or anything of that nature. No phone calls from the school, come get your child. No phone calls from a hospital saying, we have your son. You have to come and, because he's now in a psych unit where they have to evaluate and assess. So when we had a good day, I embraced those good days. I would even tell him, good day, good day. We're doing good. We're doing fine. Because I knew around the corner those bad days were coming.
wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And what were some of your experiences going through that? Like, were you working at the time? Like, what was life like for Muriel?
Woo! I tell you, I was always operating on fumes because I got very little sleep because he didn't sleep at night. He paced a lot. He always had a problem sleeping at night. So I would go into the office exhausted. But believe it or not, going into the office was therapy for me. Because to me, this is normal now for me. So I was able to leave all that was going on at home at the door before I walked in. So I worked for a law firm, a healthcare law firm. I worked for the Superior Court of New Jersey as a judicial assistant for a judge. But what I did, which was really surprising, I was transparent with them. I let them know, my immediate supervisor, the judge, and the managing partner at the law firm know, this is what I'm going through at home. And I may come in late sometime, I'll let you know, that type of thing. And they were compassionate. They understood. Even though they were not going through it, I remember the judge said to me, you would never know what you're going through at home because you come in here and you're focused. You're focused, you get things done. He said, I don't even know how you're doing this. And to have someone say that even made me feel better, like, I got this. I'm in control. But the thing that I didn't have, which now I have the audacity to talk about, mental wellness and self-care, I wasn't taking care of myself. I thought I was, but I wasn't. I was not paying attention to the signs and symptoms in my own body that I was sick. But yet I was still functioning. I was still going. So little did I know I had a toxic thyroid. I had a toxic thyroid with a count, as they said, over 2,000, which a toxic thyroid is like 500. They stopped counting, apparently the lab at 2,000 said, by now she should have had a cardiac arrest. But I was still alive. And I remember the endocrinologist came into the emergency room and said to me, lady, you are sick and I don't know what's holding you up. And then eventually they had to remove it because I continued to have these episodes of chest pains, a lot of shaking. I developed Graves' disease, which is where your eyes get really big, and it just throws everything off. Iodine didn't help anything. So they had to remove my entire thyroid. So now I'm on thyroid replacement for the rest of my life. But then I also developed Bell's palsy. So it is so important when I share in my presentations, the caregiver, the parent, whoever you are, you have to take care of yourself. And sometimes that means taking a step back and actually saying, I need help. I need help. And sometimes that's hard as a caregiver because you think that I got this, I can handle this. But meanwhile, your body's breaking down.
I'm really intrigued when you talked about you were so like when you went into work, you were so focused and so good at what you were doing that when you told those people, it actually even worked to your advantage because it was like, oh
Yes.
wow, like well, you just don't know what people are going through. So it's like, of course, like you're already good at what you do. So of course, if you need to do like, sure, go do it as long as you just come in and keep doing what you're doing, you know?
Oh, yeah, I had the best. I'm telling you. And there were times where my son refused to get on the school bus. I mean, refused to get on the school bus. And I would call Chambers, and the judge would say, well, if you can get him in the car, bring him to the courthouse. Let him hang out with the sheriff officers in the break
Oh
room.
wow.
And that's the support I needed. So it's important for organizations and companies to know that you may have an employee that is top notch, but if they only knew what some individuals are going through, they would make accommodations for them. So if you have to come in late, if you have to go for a meeting, if you have to have a school meeting, just make those accommodations, especially if you have a top notch employee.
I think it's so interesting how like conversations like this like bring up such inspiration because that situation right there is a valuable lesson for companies. I think right there what we just said is a valuable lesson because the only way you're going to scale a company is by having good people, and the way to keep good people is by exactly like understanding and having empathy for someone and being like,
Absolutely.
yes, let's accommodate you, yes, let's treat you, feel welcome. Imagine how much more motivated you would be at work to just do what you're already doing. Even though you're going through that, you're more motivated. You're like, wow, these people are really helping me. And that's why there's a misconception that, okay, to build wealth you have to be an entrepreneur. Well, sometimes you can be an entrepreneur. You could work so well like a
I
managing
like
partner,
that.
or you can work so well within a company and you kind of own your space. You're still creative, you're doing your thing, especially if you have that good working environment, and
Yeah.
still build wealth. There's a lot of people who build more wealth being entrepreneurs working within a company than owning everything.
That's right. That's right. And like I said, that was my therapy. That was my therapy where I could just focus. I
Yeah.
had a responsibility and I focused on it. Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. So like when you go and do presentations, what do you go and teach and talk about? Like what do you want people to be inspired and learn and have empathy for?
Well, first of all, I always find out in advance my audience so that I can actually structure my presentation that will leave my audiences with a call to action. Okay, with a call to action. So I would say most of my key themes across my presentations, of course, is mental wellness, is having courage and strength. People throw around the word resilience a lot now, but that is a process building up to that strength. It is a process. Sometimes you fail. Sometimes you take 5 steps backwards. But my presentations really inspire you to keep moving. But more importantly, a connection. I am that connection. When my audience leave, they are connected with me. We exchange emails, phone numbers, because they should not walk this journey alone. And I'm speaking now in particular if my audience are family members taking care of a loved one. If they're nonprofit organizations, then we talk about how to balance work and not, because running a nonprofit is hard. It's very difficult. You're always begging for money. Okay, you're always begging for money. So how do you balance that? How do you balance when you have to reduce staff? How do you balance when your funding is being decreased? So I talk about different avenues that you can take and how as organizations you can collaborate. There's enough work out there for everyone. You do not have to do a job by yourself. You can collaborate with another organization. You can actually share your employees as well. So I talk about the broad scope, the professional side, and then also the personal side, because it weighs a lot on you when you run an organization as the CEO. There's so much responsibility, let alone policies and procedures and playing nice in the sandbox with the community and your funders. It's all a process. So I talk about all of that through storytelling, through my lived experience as well as my professional experience. And I also talk about anyone can advocate, but you have to advocate effectively. And my heart really belongs with those families, those caregivers that feel like no one is listening to them. I let them know that they are the experts when they come to that loved one. They're living that. And sharing that with a clinician, with the professionals, you are part of that team. You should not ever be told, well, you should do this and you should do that. It's a team decision. And that individual, that parent, their caregiver has a voice, and it needs to be respected. That's where my heart really and passion is, because I at one time was one of those people that would shrink in the meeting. Well, they're the professionals. They know what they're talking about. They know what they're talking about on the book side, clinical side. But when it comes to actually engaging with your loved one, you have that information that they need in order, as a team, make an informed decision for that loved one. And I'm on my soapbox. I'm going to take it down a notch.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
It's all about purpose-driven leadership, not only just in an organization, but in your home as well. It just has to be purpose-driven. And it's so hard to be distracted. It is just so hard because all these things are coming at you. That's why it's important to be connected to someone that can help you through that journey to get you from point A to point B, because it is a long, long walk when you try to do it by yourself.
Wow. You said lead with purpose-driven leadership. How do you do that in the household?
Oh, you have to take back control. It is so easy to, at one point where my son, his behaviors, you have to now start setting healthy boundaries. And that's what I had to do. Take that lead, like, we are not going to do this. And with him, I had to put a lot of words around the house. Listen, think, no hitting. That's taking it back. I'm taking the lead. I am now the CEO of my home. And instead of letting him run amok, which initially I was, because I couldn't figure out, how do you discipline this? How do you discipline a child that's running amok like that? I mean, are you always going to spank them? That's not going to work. So what I would do, I would be intentional. Even when, as far as, which some people are like, oh, you shouldn't have to have an award or reward for your child for good behavior. I had him on a point system. So he was more visual. He could see, he was making, and what did he want? McDonald's by the end of the week. I'm okay with that, as long as it, was peace. So to me, that's taking back your control, the power in your home. It's so easy to say, because you're tired, you're exhausted. So that's a way of taking back, as I say, control of your home.
I love it. There's so many powerful fundamentals you just said. I want to take it a little bit when you did work in those corporate roles. What were the good things that you saw, on how to run a successful company?
Oh, I tell you something. I had the best role models. I'm one of those people that I'm like a sponge. And I remember being at the law firm, and I started off as a legal secretary, and I ended up being the managing partner's assistant. I learned so much on the legal side, and it was healthcare law. And then when I transitioned to the courts in New Jersey, the Superior Court, I learned so much from my judge. And he would always say, you would make a good litigator. And he said, what an opportunity missed. And I always loved law. But like I said, I would just taking all that knowledge, and I learned. And I took all that knowledge from these past employers. And when I had the opportunity, what a blessing it was, to become the executive director of a nonprofit organization, someone who did not finish college, only brought to the table some work experience, but lived experience for a nonprofit organization that actually supported families who are raising a child with a mental health diagnosis. What a blessing. It just fell right in my lap. So I took all that business knowledge and was able to bring that to the table along with my lived experience that supported families and run that organization from the ground up. From the ground up. And the one thing I would say, as being part of it, especially if you're a nonprofit and you're dealing with families, listen to them. Actively listen to them. They will tell you in their conversation exactly what they need. And the one thing I kept hearing over and over again the first year that I started as the executive director was, I'm tired. That's what they were saying, I'm tired. And when I said, well, this is easy. They need respite. They need respite. They need a place where they can take their children and take a break, even if it's for 3 hours. Get your nails done, just sleep, whatever it was. And that's something, that was a program I developed over those years. And it was successful because how I captured the information and captured the data was from the parents, because the child was not being hospitalized as often. You know why? Because the caregiver was not stressed out. Because when you're stressed out, it's like, okay, yeah, take him or her to the hospital. That's my break. That should not be. That should not be. So with that I would say yes, that all that experience that I had back in the day, I brought it to the nonprofit and built upon that.
And so you were able to use all of that value,
All
and
of it.
then in your nonprofit, you're just leading the mission and vision.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it was such a great experience. Like I said, I was really surprised I got the position. But, I always say what God has for you is for you, and no one can block it. No one can block it. So I took that and I ran with it, because then I said, this is my purpose. Let me tell you, it made sense to me what I went through with my son. Because before I was like, oh, why am I going through this, And then once I got that position and I saw what families was going through and how I could relate to them, it wasn't like I was saying to them, oh, I can't even imagine you going through that. I said, I know what you're talking about. Then that's when I said, this is my purpose. This is my calling. And I just embraced it. Yeah, to some people, it didn't make sense. Muriel, why do you want to do this and you went through that? Walk away. That was my calling and purpose. So I'm good. Even now, after I retired, I knew that there was still more work to be done, but I'm doing it at a different level now. And I think our interaction was not by chance. It really wasn't by chance. Go ahead, you can step in, because I'm...
So what I'm intrigued is, what did a different level look like for you? Because it's so true what you're saying, because you put something in your mind, then guess what? Boom. I have something I'm putting in my mind, and I'm on that frequency, and then boom, we now meet, we do this, because now you're on that frequency of okay, look, I want to do it at a different level, right? I want to, this is social media. This is where people come
Yep.
in and watch and can view, and you can get keynote bookings from here. People can see what the mission and vision is about and learn about you, because now people trust people more than they trust brands. So they want to hear from people. So,
Absolutely.
so yeah, what did that next level, what did that envision in your mind, like from you retiring, did that look like?
I am not being controlled.
Mhm.
I'm not being controlled by a funder. I am not being controlled because I have always been outspoken. When I see something wrong, I speak on it. And then when you're in a nonprofit there and you're running an organization, there are some things that you have to take it down a notch. You have to take now I don't. I speak up for parents as well as myself and for my son. I play nice in the sandbox. I've always played nice in the sandbox. I've always been that type of person, no matter what, no matter opposition I may have. I know how to play nice in the sandbox. But this level gives me a wider, a broader platform to share not only my story, but to help not only nationally, I want to go globally because I know it's not just here. It's not just here. Mental wellness, self-care across the board is everywhere. And with all the stressors that people, all the uncertain times that we're going through now, more than ever, individuals, people, families need a voice for someone who, like I said, I've never, ever kind of toned down myself until I was in that position, getting money from funders. Now I don't have to do that. This is Muriel Jones Banks, Courage to Be LLC, and this is who I am. And either you embrace me or you don't. But either way, I am going to speak up for what's right and talk about healthy boundaries, especially for those caring for a loved one. And again, extending out to those companies and organizations how to better support your employees.
I mean, for me, I love this. I love, why you're so passionate, and it's so true. It's the day and age of the personal brand, right? You don't need that anymore. Now you can speak about your mission. You can be getting keynote speaking gigs, 15,000, 25,000 here, there, running, leading the mission and vision. And now you, exactly like more what you said, you're in control. And now with social media, you have even more control now, because you can go direct to consumer. You can go direct to whoever you want to speak to and be like, look, if you like me, and if you don't, then I'm building my own community, right? Like, hey, so I love it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You have to get to a point in life where you have to be authentic and be who you are. And like I always say, not shrink to someone else's agenda. I don't like that. It makes me feel uncomfortable. I don't like being put in a box. I like creating that box, okay? You're not going to put me in a box because I'm creating it. So that's who I am. That's who I am.
I love it. I love it. And so what would you say a lot of companies get wrong when it comes to people, when it comes to dealing with their employees?
Because there's no engagement, just getting to know your employee. I think when you have, everyone does like a holiday, a Christmas get together, but there should be other intervals throughout the year, to keep in touch with your employees, your staff, get feedback from them. If you start getting feedback of because they're on the ground, all right, they're on the ground, employees are on the ground. What is working and what is not working? Wow, that is powerful when you have your employees, your staff engage with you and making the company better and making either a product better or if you're serving families, making sure that you're doing the best that you can do with the input from your staff, your employees, and then coming together. You know how valuable that is? to staff to feel like they're part of a company. They're not just a worker. They're part. You would want your employees, your staff, to invest in their ideas, what's working and what's not working. I think that's so important. I really think that's important. Give them a little rope. And I tell you, you probably have some very creative employees that will come up with stuff that you never thought of. I think that's important. That connection. That division is not good, because if you have unhappy employees or staff, now I've gone through that, trust me, where, staff was, but I set the bar high. I always set the bar high for my staff because I could see something in them that they could not see. And some people embraced it, some people didn't. But I say that's the way. Stay in touch, have an intimate relationship with your staff.
And what are some ways to do that? Is that like, going on retreats, like
Not only
checking in?
retreats, have a monthly meeting, a breakfast, something like that, or have a lunch and learn where that's a good time. It could be once a month. The companies can afford a lunch. Come on. They can afford that. But not only that, it makes that staff, that employee feel, hey, valued. Wow, think enough about me to feed me and want my input on things. Wow. I think that would be wonderful. Not just a one-time retreat or a summer outing, but something on a consistent basis. And even if the CEO or executive director cannot be there, you have someone under you that can facilitate these type of luncheons or meetings and provide the feedback. I think that's a great way to be.
Yeah.
Great way moving forward anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I usually like to do a game like I'll say a word, and then when I say the word, you'll tell me what the first thing that pops up in your mind.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
I like
So,
games.
so if I say the word empathy, what's the word that comes in your mind? One
Caring,
word. Caring. Okay, I like that. CEO.
president.
Ooh, can you explain?
I look at the CEO as the head. Their company is their country, so to speak. So I say president.
President. I like that. I like that. President.
I know a
Similar
lot of
to,
people would probably say leader or something like that. No, I think of president.
yeah, because it's funny when I think of Donald Trump, like he was a CEO, like he's had experience of what it's like to be a CEO. So president, I don't know, I like that. No one's actually ever said that before. So
All right, I'm the first one. Yay.
family.
Together.
Together. Explain.
When I think of family, I think of family being together. That I I just do. When I think of family, I'm thinking everyone together. And I don't mean just mom, dad, and the kids. I mean grandma, aunt, uncle, cousins together. Only time you see family usually come together, usually because someone passed away. I think of now what you said, family being together always. Just being together.
I love it.
One unit. Yep.
One unit. Mother.
Father.
Explain.
Mother, father, a tandem. Got it together. When I think of mother, I think of father. You can't have one without the other. Can't have a kid without the other. So, mother, father. Yeah. I think they're a good balance.
When I think that's a very interesting, and that's why I like doing things like this or this game, because it brings up these conversations. But what are your thoughts on society today? Are they trying to push away that masculine and feminine energy when we talk about mother and father? Like, are they trying to? What do you think that's happening in the world today? Are we seeing what I'll tell you in my personal opinion?
Okay.
I feel like, especially with masculinity or the that father. I just asked you, when you think of mother, what's the one word you would say? And I think you'd say something, but you said father, right? Which was quite valuable. So yeah, I feel it's like maybe trying to push that out of the picture, that masculine essence, and we're seeing a lot of that in society. That's how I feel, and I feel having that masculine and feminine presence is everything. It's society. What do you think on this?
Society has changed. And I am a firm believer people need to be who they are. Whether individuals like it or not or don't accept it. I'm not getting spiritual on anybody, but we're all God's children. And he loves each and every one of us the way we are. I would never judge, because I don't judge people. I always say, be you and be happy. Whatever that looks like to you, be you and be happy. That's it. So mother, father, and the father could be another woman, another mother. Be you. I just don't judge. We're not supposed to judge. That's not our role. So whether you embrace it or not, people are going to be who they are, and they should be, because everyone needs to be happy in whatever space that looks like. And I've always been that type of person. I embrace everyone. I love everybody. The only thing I don't like are bugs.
Yeah.
I'll kill a bug in a minute.
And I'm also not saying it in the sense of like not accepting people for who they are. I think like that's just standard of life, right? Like, you love your neighbor as you love yourself. I just feel like, yeah, I don't know, when I have been in a situation and I've met someone, like I've met a girl who had a father in her life, and then I met a girl who didn't have a father in her life. And like you said, that father could be a mother, it could be, but I
Right.
mean just that masculine presence, because like it's that connection between the daughter and the father is quite important. So I've seen that trajectory. So it's just in terms of, with society, how does it look like with, that essence in life, and how you've seen life anyway?
Well, things have really changed. I know that and I'm just keeping it real, I stepped into that father role when I divorced my husband. I mean, he would see his son every other weekend. So I had to fill in that gap. And sometimes it meant getting mentors for him as well. Getting mentors. If I could get mentors, that was great. But then you have now a lot of single women that may not have that opportunity to get a mentor. They may not have a brother that could step in. So women have really stepped into the role as well as trying to balance both. Is it difficult? Absolutely, it's difficult. But again, you have to do what you have to do to get by each and every day. That's why, and I don't mean to switch up on you, but I'm not switching up on you. That's why I talk about this is a woman's world and what it looks like. And and I'm pulling together different stories from women of what they're going through and how women together can come together. Without all the drama, without all the pettiness, without all the, crabs in the bucket, pulling each other down. Because, men can have a disagreement, not like each other, and then they're on the golf course tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right? We need to get to that place, women. So just to reform, just change that whole focus on this is a woman's world to something more solid, something more together, something to remove all those filters that divide us as women. So getting back, that's why I said women have stepped into that role as well as being the mother and the father, because they had no other choice. And it is difficult. And I get what you're saying. I totally understand what you're saying. But sometimes you have to do what you have to do and work with what you have to work with.
Powerful. The last word that I had, love.
Beauty.
Explain.
I think love is beautiful because when you have it, it's a feeling that you can't even describe. All you know, the feeling is beautiful. You know, like my husband, I think he's beautiful. I love him. And I can't explain it, but as soon as you said it, I said beauty. I think he's the most beautiful man ever. But it's also that here, not just the physical, it's here that is so strong, that is beautiful.
Whoa, wow, boom. That was amazing. I love
Where's
that.
my mic? Where's my mic? There you go.
Boom. I like that. That's a clip. That's a clip, a social media clip right there. Because it's true, man. When you just said it like that, I said, "Wow." I just love the way you said that. It's so true.
Oh, thank you. It's the truth.
The truth. Well, thank you, Muriel, so much. Like, I mean, this has been amazing. Just to have you on, come and talk about who you are, and I'm sure we'll be able to continue doing this at some capacity. You know, even
Absolutely.
I like the idea of doing webinars. You know, just coming on with a guest webinar, and we invite people in a live audience. They come ask questions. And this could, this piece is our first piece we've done together. So it could be the first, history piece, giving the information, and then we do webinars and things like that. Um,
Great.
yeah. Thank
I
you so
love
much.
it. You are a young man doing big things. And as a mom, I'm saying to you, and I know your mom must be very proud of you because you don't have too many young men out there making a positive difference in the lives of others. So thank you so much for this opportunity as well.
No worries, no worries. Thank you, Muriel. So you have a wonderful day. I'll
Yes.
make sure that anyway, this is on LinkedIn, but anyone who's seeing this on YouTube or Spotify and all the global platforms out there, Muriel's details are in the description, so you can contact her for your next event or contact us and we can put you in touch with her. And
Okay.
awesome. We'll see you on the
Thank
other.
you. Take
Thank,
care.
thank
Have
you.
a
You
good
too.
one.
If you really enjoyed this video, make sure to click here, and I'm sure you're gonna love that one.